I'm going to call this meeting to order 15 minutes late. The council had me tied up in another meeting until right before this meeting, so apologize for being a few minutes late. And I'd like to ask Homer's invocation.
Father in heaven, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the rain we got. We thank you for all the members of this tribe of Indians, the Delaware tribe. We thank you that you blessed us with so many things. We pray that as we have this meeting today at the trust board, that we may meet and serve the people the way that things ought to be. And we pray that everyone will have agreement on everything we do. We ask you to bless the ones who made it up here, and we thank you for giving them a safe trip. We ask you to give them a safe trip home. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Roll call.
Chairman Brooks.
Here.
Joe Brooks.
Here.
John Sumter.
Here.
Deanne Ketchum. Absent. Homer Scott.
Here.
And Cass Smith. We have
I'd like to welcome all the guests. Are there guests that wish to address the trust board today? We'll put you first if you've got anything. Yes. As everybody knows, we have an empty trust board seat that was announced actually almost 2 months ago, and our trust document does require us to fill that empty seat at the first regular meeting after the resignation is accepted. I personally have received 4 letters desiring to be on the trust board. I've sent them out to all of our trust members. I don't think Homer probably has read them, but the 4 tribal members that are seeking to fill the empty seat are Nikki Michael, Bonnie Joe Griffith, Mary Longhorn, and Phil Euler. I see that Nikki and Bonnie Joe are here. Is Phil Euler or Mary Longhorn here? If let's can I get a motion to approve the agenda? And I actually think that we should probably go ahead and put filling the empty seat at the top of this agenda right after the approval of minutes.
I would move to approve the agenda with with moving the trust board vacancy to the top.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to to approve the agenda with filling the vacant seat at the top. Discussion? Then all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? The vote is 4 yes. And of course the chairman doesn't vote except in the case of a tie. Minutes of the March the 4th meeting.
Did you want to do the appointment now, or where did you want to place it?
Let's go through the minutes first, and we'll vote on the appointment right after the approval of the minutes. Everybody did get a copy of the minutes and has read them. I've read the minutes. The only thing I've seen, every vote we took in the last meeting was a unanimous vote of 4, but it was put in the minutes as all yes, 5, and the chairman does not vote, so I would propose that we change that to either a unanimous vote or 4 yes and 0 no. So
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of March the 4th, 2013 with corrections.
do I hear a second?
Let's see.
Corrections? Are there any corrections other than that multiple use of 5 yes? If there are no other corrections, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I abstained. I wasn't there. I don't see the corrections for me.
Opposed? The vote is 3 yes to approve the minutes with several corrections on the numbers on them and 1 abstention. Nikki and Bonnie Joe, would y'all individually like to address the trust board as to why you feel that you should fill that seat? I get it. Probably it would be fair to let Nikki go first, since she sent a letter in about 2 months ago, I think, and Bonnie Joe second.
Yep, that's fine. Kunumosi hach, kunuwensi, opitayakwe, lenape ni, miguis, alpekinun, ok takokin, ok shikakani. That's an introduction of myself, and I know some of you know our language, and some of you not so much. But I introduce myself as a mother, and to me that's my most important role, even though I have about 4 other hats between my PhD teaching at Rogers and working for numerous other tribes and doing our Lenape OC Foundation. So today I come to you and I want to address the trust board and as to why I would like to be on the trust board, and that is because I feel like I have the experience to manage our trust monies, and I have ideas about what we could do with them, to grow them, to address them as more professionalism. There are numerous ways we can do that, as well as empower tribal members. One of the things that we could be doing is, with tribes, there's a new program called 7871s. How many have heard of that? Yeah, 7871s are what tribes are now doing to put some of their assets in. And those 7871 programs are kind of like a nonprofit for tribes. And to me, what our trust monies are nonprofits. And it's because we're serving the tribal members with them. The other things that I think we need to be doing are more student and youth programs. And I feel like I could bring a lot to the table as far as what the needs of our students are. I teach Rogers students, and they tell me stories every day. I have one student who lost her brother in the National Finals Rodeo, and she was going to school while that. And then I have another student, I really can't explain everything that she went through, but it's like I understand what they're going through. And I feel like I can come to the table and bring that kind of awareness. And as far as my PhD is concerned, I have a PhD in history, and that includes what we researched with the tribe and our relationship with the Cherokee Nation. And as you know, that relationship wasn't so great at times, and we lost our federal recognition twice over that. So I looked at that relationship, and I'm looking to get that published next summer. So do you guys have any questions of me?
If you are elected to fill the seat, Nikki, can you make most of the meetings?
Yes. Yes, I teach on Monday nights, but this time slot's perfect.
Do any other board member?
There are committee meetings that are held throughout the month, and there are workshops held, and most of these are during the day. Would you be able to attend those?
Yes. Audience
Thank you,
questions? No? Okay. Bonnie?
Bonnie Jo?
She's got something to Okay, I'm Bonnie Jo Griffith. I'm retired. I'm a mother, grandmother, great-grandmother. I have about close to 30 years experience in the corporate world. I worked in accounting, took care of a lot of accounts payables for a while, but I spent most of the time in marketing. I was in charge of over $1 million budget. I was required to submit reports to our upper management. I traveled extensively throughout the U.S. I had to figure ROI on certain things, so I know the importance of a return on investment. I've worked hard all my life, successfully raised 2 kids. One's a school teacher, the other's a nurse in the Army. His picture's on the wall over here. I have always wanted to be involved more with the tribe, but due to my employment, it was just never possible. But I feel like now I have the time, and I've certainly got the energy, and I won't have problems making meetings or anything like that. So I don't have the educational background that Nikki has, but I have a whole lot of experience that I feel balances that out. So I'm willing to just accept any decision you all make. Do you have any questions?
Do any trust board members have a question?
Thank you.
I pointed out earlier that the chairman does not vote in case of a tie, except in case of a tie. And I'm saying a little prayer that there isn't a tie, because I know that both of these candidates are fully qualified to do this. So since I'm the non-voter, I'll open these votes, and we'll see what happens. There's 2 votes for Bonnie Jo Griffith. Nikki Michael has 1 vote. And Mary has 1 vote. I guess, and somebody correct me.
They do.
Pardon me.
They have to be here. It's been done that way for, they have to be present here to be appointed.
That's always been the case. To be fair to everybody, I guess, does this board wish to eliminate the 1 person that had asked for the job because they weren't here and revote this?
The last time an appointment was made by the trust board, it was the same way. They threw away 3 names.
It was on the internet too that they needed to be present to be sworn in.
Yeah. I'd recommend that we just revote it with only Bonnie Jo and Nikki. And I'm still praying that we don't get a tie vote.
Well, that's that 4 more blank sheets of paper.
I'm going to take care of these, the names off and just use these again.
There you go.
Things real quick with trees.
Nikki Michael. Bonnie Jo Griffith. Nikki Michael. Bonnie Jo Griffith.
You brought that on yourself.
No, I guess the chairman has to vote in case of a tie. I heard somebody say one time that if you had to break a tie vote, why don't you just flip a coin? trust document doesn't
Well, I just have a question. Is this not Deanna's second absence? Did she excuse?
She was here last week.
She was here.
the question.
Second, it's 2 in a row?
2 in a row.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
I have a question. Have we tried to get Dan on a conference call today to ask her vote?
She wanted to do a conference.
I am,
Saves you from breaking a tie.
I'm not sure that that's legal to ask the member that's not in attendance for a vote. What's this board feeling?
I don't feel like it would be legal.
I don't think it would be.
No.
If the chairman, for his own, wanted to flip a coin for him to decide, that's up to him, how he makes his decision.
Stop laughing.
Just don't let us see you flip a coin. Great.
Both candidates would do a great job.
Yeah, everybody knows that I've always been for the Delaware tribe going into gaming, but I'm not going to flip a coin.
Chance, before you make a decision, may I say something?
Go ahead.
If y'all are willing to listen to me, I would like to apply for this position. If y'all are willing to have a third vote, or do I need to wait for the next election, or because I didn't send in a letter or anything, because I just found out about this position being open today, which I apologize for.
I'm going to leave that comment or offer to this board if the board wishes to take a third vote.
We've already called for the vote, and it's up for the chairman to break the tie.
We're in the process now. We could do that. We could have done that with Obama.
Well, if you're going to compare me to Obama, I'll vote.
Well, no, I apologize for that if you took it that way.
I think we request that whoever wanted to serve,
Send it a letter. We always have requested that.
that's been the standard.
Apologies, I withdraw.
No, that's fine. We appreciate your interest.
I'm going to vote for age. In this case, and I've heard a few stories out of Bonnie in the last week that I know she won't take offense to that being the eldest.
I don't know, she's getting kind of old.
There's no way that the chairman would not vote for either one of you two ladies to fill this empty seat. I'm going to cast my vote for Bonnie. And promise Nikki that if we have another open seat shortly, I'll be voting for you if I can. come forward, Bonnie, and we'll swear you in. I saved it. Go right in front of this podium. I, Bonnie Jo Griffith,
I, Bonnie Jo Griffith,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will defend the Constitution
that I will defend the Constitution
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
that I will faithfully carry out the duties of my office
that I will faithfully carry out the duties of my office
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
that I will cooperate, trust
document,
bylaws.
and bylaws. Thank you, sir. Let me get my license.
Need some phone books to set on.
That's just telling us which one it is.
Treasurer's report. And the treasurer's not here. Gene, do you, I know we've sent the financials out to everybody, and I've noticed that we're $29,000 better off than we were a month ago, but if Jean has got anything she needs to report, you're welcome to, Jean.
This is what it was.
I really don't have anything serious to report. With the increase, the market's much better right now and things are riding up pretty well. So I think the unrealized gain came up pretty high this last month, and that's where that gain came from. So.
Gene, that synopsis that you've been putting at the front of our financials every month it's very helpful.
Oh, thank you.
And I don't know how to.
And I also appreciate it. It makes it much easier to read.
Well, if you have any suggestions, I'm happy to change to where it works for you as well as it possibly can. But it's a quick glance at where you are, and then when you're ready for more detail, you just go back to the back and look at the different itemized budgets, and that helps a lot. So.
We took a vote at our last trust board meeting on keeping the fiscal year, the calendar year.
Yes.
And I think you told me we needed a trust board resolution.
Well, I just needed something that verified that so I could show to the auditors. It doesn't really require a resolution. You did have a resolution last time when it was changed, and we have overridden that one, so I don't know if we need another formal resolution or not.
I didn't know if we had one. I talked with Gene earlier, and in the minutes it states that vote was held.
Are the minutes sufficient?
I think the minutes for my purposes are sufficient, yes.
And you think there will be for the
Yes.
auditor too?
The auditors accepted that already, so we're good to go.
If not, we'll approve a resolution and backdate it to, because we've already approved it.
If we decide we need a resolution, then I'll do the one for you, so we can have it done. But I'm really pleased that you did go ahead and decide to change to the normal year. But that's been traditional, and I couldn't see any purpose in changing it, so I think that was a nice choice.
And it saved us money.
It did save the money, about $1,700.
Excuse me, are you finished looking at my RFS packet yet?
I am through with your packet. If you would like to have it back, I can go
Yes,
get it.
if you please.
I will do that.
What did you think of it?
I thought that was a pretty historic document, frankly. And someone had called for a date, and the date was in your packet, and I had just opened it, and there was the date that they'd asked me for, so it was very helpful. Thank you.
All right.
I will get that.
Thank you, Jay. Yes.
Yeah, I'm just, for anybody in the audience that doesn't have a copy of the financials, I'm happy to see that we're at $3,902,151.80. It's been a long time getting there, but it's an all-time high for a long time. To me, that 3.9 just stuck out. We've been riding on 3.8 for a long time. I'll be glad when we get to the 4 million mark.
Has it been since about 1999 or 2000 since we've had that much in the trust? It possibly has.
I think it was down to like 3.2 million.
At one time, sometime between 1995 and 98, we had it up to about 4.4 million. But then there were some substantial losses in the late 1900s. But that's good. It feels better to have more money.
I'd move to approve the treasurer's report pending audit.
Second.
All in favor of the motion? Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to abstain. I just don't feel like I'm enough familiar with what it was before, so I'll just abstain.
4 yes and 1 abstention. Committee reports, economic development, Joe Brooks.
I want to backstep there one step. Are we absolutely sure that we took a vote on that trust board fiscal year at the last meeting? Was that in the minutes? Okay, it's in the minutes, we're safe.
If the trust board would like to just make sure for future, we will do a resolution at our next meeting just to confirm. I can have that ready.
Economic Development Committee had no meeting because Delaware Enterprise Corporation is handling all the economic development for the tribe, and we're proposing doing away with economic development in the November election. And if that passes, we'll be splitting the money left in economic development up amongst other committees, according to the percentages.
Vernon Crawford, Community Services.
We did meet in March. I don't have the details on that meeting, but I will see if they are there next meeting. we did approve several requests in both. And most of the requests that come through are approved. I think maybe we did deny one, and I think it was because they had applied already. But I'll definitely have those details for you. And we meet again next Monday, so I will make sure that those are all here and everybody will have copies.
Homer, do you, I forgot, I apologize, but I forgot you were sick when we had that committee meeting. Didn't we have about 16 community service approvals?
Yes.
17 maybe. And we had some scholarships too, didn't we?
Yeah.
30-some? Or was that the month before?
That was February. We did scholarships in February.
Land management, our committee chairman is absent.
Didn't do cultural preservation or education yet.
Okay, Verna also missed the last education meeting, and I was there, but you remember the details, Homer?
Oh, I have a question for the education committee. And this would affect a lot of people, not just my daughter, but a lot of other Delawares. My daughter's going to school full-time, 12 months a year, 2 years and 3 months. But at the end of 2 years and 3 months, she's going to have more college credits than somebody that does 4 years of college. She has no breaks. So as an education committee addressed that, because she still should be entitled to 4 scholarships. And the way we're doing it now, you just have a spring and a fall. And we're eliminating some of these kids that want to go to school full time and get it done. Because she's going to a fully accredited nursing school, and it is college credits. And at the end of her schooling, she'll have 108 college credits versus 96 if you go to college for 4 years is all you're required to have. I would like very much for the education committee to address that, because her first 3 months is up already, and now she's in her second 3 months. They do it by quarters. She goes 5 quarters.
That's definitely something.
Or not 5 quarters, she goes 9 quarters, 2 years and 3 months. But every 3 months, she's in a different semester.
That is definitely something the committee needs to look at, and we probably.
She sent in all the paperwork and all the information from the college. The college has already sent all that to you all.
Okay, well, I'm sure we can reconsider and take a look and see how to address this. I know we talked about it, but.
It spells out she is a full-time student and how many college credit hours she gets per every 3 months, not a semester. But there's a lot of other kids in the same position. Your daughter run into the same thing. And I named you several other people. And it's not fair to them, because they're not just going to school 8 or 9 months a year, they're going 12 months. They're going full time. So they should be entitled to the same benefits as somebody's going to college for 4 years. credit hours than a full-time graduate from college.
Now, we're going on the global pen is like a semester, right?
Yeah.
Now, is during the full time, each of the categories within full time?
See, in a semester in college, you only have 2 semesters a year,
Right.
correct? But for 4 years.
How many hours do they carry?
That's carrying a 12,
That-
that's carrying a 12-hour load
Yeah. Yeah, but at the end,
at the 96 hours is talking about. It's 24
But
a
that
year for
graduated
4 years.
from college.
Right.
but at the end of 9 quarters in this nursing school, she'll have 108 college credits.
The committee has talked about it, and we definitely talk about researching it further. And that's, like, the committee will look at it and see what we can do.
Yeah, I think, as things have changed as far as the way colleges do things, the way online classes go and things, where people can do that.
So kids that go 4 full years college, they're entitled to 8 scholarships through the tribe, correct?
Right.
I think somebody's going to a trade school and if you get college credit hours, I think they should be entitled to the same thing. Like we discriminate against.
I probably just need to look at the process.
And we have recently, but it's an ongoing thing to update and make our policies fit. Something else we have to look at is our annual budget.
Well, I looked at the annual budget, you got lots of
Right.
rollover money that needs to be used, so we're not the
We
benefits.
are working on that also.
So that was my question of education.
The Cultural Preservation Committee met as always, and the committee would like to thank Bruce Martin for his well-done work in regard to the stomp dance over in Chelsea. There was somewhere between 100 and 120 people that came out to that stomp dance, which is pretty good.
There was over 120 at about 8:30.
For the first time to my knowledge, that we've ever had one there. One of the board members of the Boys and Girls Club, a Delaware tribal member, Nikki Harris, asked me during the stomp dance if we would consider doing it again, and I think it was a well-attended deal, and we'd like to thank you for all your work in making it happen, Bruce.
I think you've done a great job. You had a great turnout. To me, it was a successful stomp dance. A lot of people enjoyed it, especially over at Chelsea.
I think you'd be surprised if you had it again. I think there'd be double the amount of people there.
I agree.
The weather kept a lot of people from coming too.
Had people from White Oak, people from Miami, people from all over. So it was well attended.
John, reinvestment
report. Something was still waiting on decision with lawyer. We're just going to table it, not do it, or that's the only thing.
You had checked with that one attorney that we talked to, and his hour, yeah, he wanted to retain was the tribal attorney, who, her hourly rate's $150, and she requires no retainer. Verna, were you talking about trying to get Scott from the bank
Right.
here at next Monday, or?
If we can, if available, with doing, since we are doing revisions, we need to look at what our options are for structure, whether trust, foundation, or other options, and I think what a legal advisor would be the one place to start. I was going to ask Jean if she could give us some advice, what kind of structure we might look at, and possibly ask Scott to come and just give us some ideas so we know what our possibilities are, what our options are.
I'd like to know how safe our monies are.
Right. Well, if we have him come out, we can talk to him about that also, but we need to make sure that when we do our revisions for the trust document and the trust board, that we have solid plans and know where we're going. If that's all right with everyone, I'll try to contact Scott and ask him to come next Monday at 10, and one of the things we can discuss that. Because I keep reading over that first part of the trust document, and it only addresses certain dockets that are governed by us, and we need to look and see what the best structure is for that. In my opinion. Does that sound all right for everybody?
It needs to be done. Is
Right.
when we do not know what our status is. When we have Scott come, do you not think it'd be advisable to have an attorney present also? To ask some
I think
questions?
so, because when I applied to ask him, I said, what are our safeguards? What is our status of our money? He said, I can't tell you how to make out. You need a financial attorney. His words, not mine.
How long do you think this meeting will last, Mark?
A couple of hours, probably. Well, we've got committee meetings in the afternoon, but
Not the
we can
committee
always
meetings. I'm
move.
talking about breakout
Right.
session just for the trust board.
We planned it to start at 10, and we're planning for about 2 hours.
So we end by lunchtime.
Right.
Would you all feel comfortable hiring the tribal attorney for 2 hours to sit in with Scott and the trust board where we can discuss how safe our monies are? $150 an hour is a lot cheaper than $350 or $400.
Yeah, we're going to have to do the bargaining agreement thing and the whole 9 yards.
I would be willing
Make
to.
it a legal document, because if we're going to do that, then she has to become our employee on the trust board side, not the private council side.
That's correct.
So that's something else you got to look at. Is that going to be conflict of interest or what? I don't know.
What's his board wishes?
John's got a valid point there. Would it be a conflict?
Wouldn't she know whether it would be under recuse yourself on?
Because she's going to have to sign the legal binding contract with that. So I guess that'd be up to her decision, I guess.
No, that'd actually be up to the tribal council if they want to call it a conflict of interest.
Well, yeah.
I don't think the council would have a problem with it, and having visited with the attorney, I think she would be looking at the facts, not, and what we're looking at, especially for right now, is what our legal options are and how best to
The
safeguard.
only thing I want to know is how safe our money's
Right.
are. I mean, I don't want to get into percentages or none of that with a lawyer. That's none of our business. That's up to this trust board to decide. I just want to make sure our monies are safe and secure.
Scott can address that.
He can address the financial part of it.
Legal part of it, but he
Right.
won't say nothing.
Right.
Well, I need to get a lawyer.
Yeah,
So we need a lawyer to ask him some questions.
that's it.
Well, is it the wish of this board for me to send our trust document, trust plan to Amanda Proctor and see if we can secure the consent of the council to not call her talking with us a conflict of interest, or in other words, give their consent
For the
Drop
job being written into the contract,
or
that would have to be written into the contract.
I just hate to meet with Scott without having legal advice here from a lawyer.
Well, having someone sit in one time to ask legal questions for us, that'd be the same questions no matter what. Do we need a long-term binding contract?
And you're not, right, and
We're not asking her to do anything but ask questions and give an opinion
for that
for that
period of
If
time.
she is charging a fee for services rendered, that's going to call for a contract.
Okay.
But your contract doesn't have to be like, except for that period of time.
Oh, yeah. No, short-term, like it was
Just-
a lot of-
just a 2 or 3 hour
Like the max we
contract.
need 4 hours, because she's gonna have to review
Yeah.
the trust document
Oh, yeah.
and the master plan. It'll take her a couple hours right there. We wanna put a max on it of 4 hours, or what do we wanna do?
That sounds reasonable to me. I would make the
I
motion,
would say 6 hours, give her 6 hours.
Including the meeting.
Yeah.
How much an
That
hour?
would be meeting time and say 4 hours of research time.
To be paid from wherever committee's other contractual,
yes.
split equally, whatever their percentages are.
That would be the easiest way. And it's legal.
In other words, if cultural preservation is 5%, they'd only pay 5% of the bill, correct?
That'd be fine.
For maximum 6 hours? Is that,
6
is
hours.
that what
2
everybody
hours
else
of
thinks?
meeting time, 4 hours of research time.
And then maybe talk to Scott in advance.
Just
think that's
just
enough
whatever
hours.
you do.
Mr. Chairman,
I have no problem.
you gonna make that motion?
I will make the motion that the trust board direct the chairman to contact Amanda Proctor to be our attorney for a maximum of 6 hours to review the legal status of our trust document and our structure.
do I hear a second?
With a contract,
That's why I
a
said,
simple contract?
yeah, for him to enter into a contract with her is what I heard said.
I'll second.
Further discussion? If there's no further discussion, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 5 in favor, 0 not in favor. Unfinished business.
Our chairman and myself, my brother was over at my house last 2 weeks ago. And we sat out and worked on some percentages, and we took into consideration doing away with land management, keep digging around, back also said that we would address it at the next trust board meeting. So I want to go ahead and get some percentages set that we're going to all work with. And not be juggling things around anymore. If we're going to put this out in the July newspaper, we got to get a move on.
Okay, can I ask you to go in depth on what you're talking about? Because
I will.
Percentages of...
I will.
Okay.
Tribal operations. But I am talking about doing away with economic development and land management to be replaced with an elders and a cultural preservation committee. Two new committees.
I thought we had cultural preservation.
Or not cultural preservation, veterans and elders, I mean. I jumped down.
Where does the land go?
Tribe.
Oh, under tribal operation.
Tribal operations, 15% instead of 10. I am making this in form of a motion. Tribal operations, 15%. Education, 25%. Community service, 30%. Veterans, 5%. Elders, 5%. Cultural preservation, 10%. Reinvestment, 10%. And I am making that in form of a motion because I think we need to set these percentages and move on with our plan. We're going to get this out to a vote of the people by November. And then we can discuss how we're going to implement this at our workshop.
Could you go with that? 30 for community service, 10 for cultural preservation, 25 for education,
25 for education,
10 for reinvestment.
10 for reinvestment, 5 for elders, and 5 for veterans.
Okay.
Which means there'll still be 7 committees. So I am not in agreement with the tribal council to reducing our trust board size to 5 members. We still need 7. We got 7 committees. If we're going to put this out to a vote of the people, we're still going to have 7 committees.
Do I hear a second?
Are these the ones you want set in stone?
Yes.
I think at the last workshop at GES, we had restructured them a little differently.
I didn't miss the last workshop. I came a day early to the other workshop. I came on the day we originally planned.
Okay.
Do I hear a second? There's a motion. Discussion. No discussion. If there's no discussion, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? 5 yeas.
Now we can move on with getting it out to the vote of the people.
Further unfinished business? Do I hear any new business?
We need to discuss,
One.
we need to discuss VA vacation.
Sorry.
We need to discuss.
This is just a, didn't have to be act on it, but I just thought I'd bring it up, okay? I feel like the trust board should make one meeting in Caney, where our headquarters is, either in June, July, August, or September, before we have the big meeting that we're going to have, for our big November 1 meeting or November 3rd meeting. Because there's only like 15 people here, we surely can have everybody come up to Caney for one meeting. That's just my suggestion.
Mr. Barnes, I agree with you as long as we have one meeting in Chelsea to go along with that, because we have a lot of Delawares in Chelsea also.
I will throw in there that the trust document does say that we will meet on the first Monday of every month at a time and place chosen by the board at the prior meeting. Judge Barnes, do y'all have a preference as to how soon?
No, I just say like the meeting that you're going to have here, you just have it, just go up there and come back. Because I just looked, there's 15 of us here, and we can have 15 chairs up there. I'm not saying we have to be, I'm just thinking like one meeting, like June, July, or August, or September, sometime before the November meeting.
Maybe one in Chelsea and one in Caney then before that meeting.
Before that meeting. That way we can
do one in Nova.
That way we can say
that Chelsea and Caney.
That way we can say, hey, we met up in Caney for one meeting.
I think the purpose for, Mr. Barnes, the purpose that you're suggesting is to show the presence in Kansas. Is that right?
The presence that we're in Kansas and the trust board, says, hey, they're aware that we need to have a meeting up there.
But there also may be some tribal members up there that can't drive to Barnesville.
That's true. There could be some tribal members.
Same thing in Chelsea.
I just think that, this is already April. And then, in May, so I figured we'd give them another, 45 days to know that we're going to have a meeting up in Kansas or up in Caney. Let's say in June, hey, we're going to be up there in June, the next meeting we're going to have. That's just my idea.
Rick, I think that's a good idea, but does that need to be considered with the council as well? I mean, you've got another meeting coming on right after that, and you've got council members on the trust board, so.
Usually they meet 15 minutes after, so that's not saying that, they're going to meet.
Well, I think we could probably even meet earlier than the 4 o'clock we had.
Yeah, it doesn't say what time the trust board has to meet.
So,
I'm just saying that.
So we could meet it if we change it to these different towns.
Should you consider inviting the council to have their meeting up there right after this like here?
Yeah, we could, but if not, we could change the time of the trust board meeting till 2 o'clock in the afternoon in these other towns.
I'm just saying that
we've got to have time to get back to Barnesville.
Have time to get back to Barnesville.
That'd be nice if the council go along with having a meeting in the towns too.
I know that was done at one time, moving the meetings around. At that time, we didn't generate any more attendance. In fact, we had less at most of those meetings than we have here.
I think the trust board or the tribal council has ever had one in Chelsea.
Yes, they did.
How long?
Jerry was chief.
Yeah, within the last 4 years.
Did it one meeting, because I sure didn't hear about it.
But I think it would just extend the hand.
That was the idea before, and at that time.
And if nobody comes, nobody comes, but at least we've extended our hand.
We tried.
Yeah, we tried then and received a lot of flack because we were not meeting here. There's going to be pro and con to it no matter what we do.
But if you do one, it's like, okay.
Do I hear other business?
No motion on that part?
Well, if we're going to do it,
We have to, it says what on the trust document, you said at one meeting, you set it for
Just
the
set it
next
for the
meeting?
next month. You want to move it next month?
It's up to you guys.
Just,
Homer, John?
if somebody just make a motion, and then we'll see.
Brad, I'll travel.
Caney?
I'll make a motion, we meet.
Do we have a location in Caney? Where we
We've got our building.
That's the building.
Our office.
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we have the May meeting at the tribal building in Caney.
Next
At, what time?
I got this. We'll next.
At 3 o'clock. Meeting lasts 2 hours, got an hour to get back here.
Oh, yeah, don't take us 20 minutes to get back here.
I'd say 3 o'clock.
Do I hear a second?
At 3.
Which is like May 6th or something like that, isn't it?
It's May the 6th.
May the 6th.
So I'll leave May the 4th, so it's Saturday.
I get that May the 1st from you.
Even though I'm not going to be there, I'll second your motion.
Discussion? No discussion, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And under unfinished business, I will announce that I will not be at the May meeting. I want my absence to be voted on as unexcused because I'm on vacation. And that should not be an excused absence.
Unless you take all of us with you.
Do I hear further business?
Yes. Do we want to make a motion on Deanne Ketchum's absence today to be an unexcused absence? Was she sick or just didn't be?
You got an email from Deanne that she sent yesterday. I didn't see it till this morning. She's tied up on business and made the request that this board consider meeting quarterly instead of monthly. I don't think that the current trust document allows that, but would allow that actually. It says we meet Monday of every month. But I suppose we could consider that in our planning.
I don't think we're going to consider it because, we're administrating $3.9 million. I think that's something that should be looked at every month.
Yes.
Not every 3 months. I'm going to make the motion that Deanne Ketchum's absence be unexcused.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Further new business? If there's no further business, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.